Hello everyone, and welcome back to Banjo Tooie on the Nintendo 64. I am one Welsh Sheep yet again, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are now actually going to explore the last of the areas of Grunty's Industries and finally finish off this godforsaken hellhole. And basically, if you recall in the previous part, I said the last half hour of you being in this level is basically where everything's going to start coming together, where you're going to start rapidly getting more and more jiggies in rapid succession, right? Well, here's your proof of my claims, because this is the last half hour of this level, and as I said, I'm going to start getting jiggies quite rapidly from this point out, you know, ladies and gentlemen, but you know, it can still be a little bit awkward to explore this place, and it can be very easy to get yourself turned around, especially when you're in this particular area, because it's very rare I usually play through Grunty's Industries to get to this point, because I usually turn the game off before I get to this point of the level, so, you know, you may see me get turned around a little bit, just because I generally just don't play this part of the game that often, but anyway, if you go up to the very top of this shaft by here, you have access to the sewer? It's a bit high up for a sewer access, but alright. Head into the sewer access pipe, and bada bing bada boom, we have another first-person shooter sequence. And I believe this is the final proper first-person shooter sequence in the game, and Jesus Christ, it shows. This is the most frustrating and most annoying first-person sequence out of the rest of the game, because, well, simply put, the clinkers have invaded the sewer system, and they're going to try and make the air toxic, and we need to stop that before it happens, which confuses me, because the sewer system isn't the sewer known for having toxic air anyway, so that makes no sense to me. But anyway, just you have to run through all this massive maze, and you need to find the clinkers that are littered throughout the room, and the clinkers are hidden in the most obnoxious spots you can possibly think of, ladies and gentlemen, so this can take you a good fair few attempts to perform. And my general idea for getting through the stage is I generally always go to my right. I want to say left, and I always go right if there's a chance to go right, and that's generally how I find my way around, and then keep my listen out, keep my ears out for the clinkers. If I hear them in a room or nearby, then what I basically do is I basically scour the entire room looking up and around, you know, ladies and gentlemen, because simply put, the clinkers they're a pain in the arse in this stage. You need to be on point with knowing where to go and knowing where they possibly are, you know, folks, so it's not a good time, this level isn't. It's a frustrating experience, and I just don't like it. I really don't like this one. Like, it's such a shame as well the level design falls apart by here, because I love the first-person shooter sequences in general. I mean, the typical first-person shooter sequences, there's not much I can really complain about, but They could have done a much better job in making it so you know where you were going. You know, everything sort of feels too maze-like. You know, everything feels really hard to distinguish and find your way around, and it makes this mission a pain in the bloody arse. I mean, by some miracle, I did this first time when I was actually recording it, but you know, when I was actually doing my test run, this took me over 20 attempts. It is not fun, ladies and gentlemen. I don't like it. I know, sir, I do not. And not only is it really hard and cryptic to find these clinkers, but sometimes you can actually hear them. I think they're called clinkers anyway, I wasn't actually reading the dialogue properly. But sometimes you can hear them when you're in a different room, and it really throws you off. It really throws you off into figuring out, okay, so I can hear it, but it's apparently behind this wall. So then you need to figure out, okay, I need to go through this wall to find where to go next. Ugh. It's stressful. It's stressful. That's mainly what it is. I guess the good thing is, unlike with the TNT mission at the start of the game, because this is more of an evolution of that mission, I guess the thing you could probably say about it is, at least you can shoot everything in this one, because in the TNT mission you can shoot anything, you know. But there we go, bada bing, bada boom, that is that done and dusted, and just for the sake of getting things quicker, just kill yourself in order to exit the area, for Christ's sake. You don't want to be lost in there for about an hour, like I used to be when I was a wee lad. Oy. Honestly, that mission's annoying. Like, I made it look quite easy there, but trust me, it's stressful, okay? It's not cool. Get a map on standby, for God's sake. If a map will help, actually, because everything looks so similar that using a map would be... It'd probably take you longer to get through the stage using a map, because, then you have to stop, then you have to look at the map, then you have to realize where you are in conjunction to what the map is. But either way, just find some way to figure out the landmarks, and you should be fine. It's such a shame it falls apart there. Like I said, I like the first-person shooter sequences. It's just... they could have been handled so much better, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Hoi. Ah, my face. But I digress. Anyway, we can't actually access everything in that room area just yet because we do need to split up Banjo and Kazooie, and we do need to get hold of another battery pack that is littered throughout the course of the stage. And, you know, hopefully you've been keeping an eye out for the battery packs as you've been exploring, because that'll make your job of finding the battery pack a little bit easier. But, yeah, you know, you do need to switch out to Banjo, and you do need to get an extra battery pack in order to open up an extra doorway, which, sort of has, like, a shooting gallery behind it, which... I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but I always get Ocarina of Time Zelda flashbacks from, this upcoming thing we gotta do. Just because, you know, it's a shooting gallery type dealio. Of course, I say that, but, I would argue this is probably a lot more frustrating than the shooting gallery in Zelda Ocarina of Time, because... well, it's a little bit more finicky. You guys will see when we get to it, but, hoi. It's not fun times, what can I tell you? But anyway, like I said, remembering where the battery packs are during the course of the level makes things so much easier to get by, you know, folks. Like, I did remember there was a battery pack down here I never picked up, and it's just easy to miss these things, you know, folks, and it follows up with what I was saying earlier on about how this level has too much red tape. Everything needs something in order to be able to be accessed, you know, and, like, I need all these battery packs in order to access the doorways, to access the places, to get the jiggies, and it's just... I would rather just be able to enter the room, bada bing, bada boom, get the jiggy, leave, you know, it's... I don't want to be faffing about with all these batteries. I don't want to be faffing about with stuff like that, you know? I mean, I can't complain too much because it is a collectathon platform, and, you know, the main goal of it is collecting things. It just bugs me that I have to collect things in order to open up doorways to collect things. You know, I'd much rather be able to just flat out go in a doorway and collect the thing. If you guys get what I'm meaning, I'm probably an incoherent mess right now, but you probably get what I'm rambling about, one would hope. But, I digress. Also, this conveyor belt on this crusher sequence confuses me. Sometimes it's moving in one direction, and other times it moves in the other direction, and there's no real way I can figure out to change it. So, I don't understand what that's all about. It's, that's always confused me, that conveyor belt. I never quite figured out the best way to you know, why it goes one way one time, sometimes it goes the other way, and it's weird. But, I digress. I digress, indeed-o. Yes. And yes, I did just take the most absolute roundabout way to get to this this bloody door. It's like I said, it's very easy to get turned around in this world. It's very easy to get lost and not realize, oh, I'm going the wrong way. Me. Because everything looks so similar, and when you're thinking you are going the right way, you could be going in a total opposite direction, you know, ladies and gentlemen. And it's just, it's not cool. I decided to skip past getting Kazooie here because you guys didn't need to see that. And it's time to enter the cable room. And as dark as this room is, it looked magnificent back in the day with all the lighting effects from the electricity and stuff. I've always liked the way this room looks. But if we go and jump into this room by here, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the shooting gallery I mentioned previously. Quality control. Basically, we need to avoid the basically toxic barrels, and we need to shoot the barrel with the rare symbol on it. So basically you wait for all the barrels to go past and shoot the blue one. That's basically what it is. The big thing with this is you will need to get your grenade eggs out, and it's all about timing your shots. It's all about pre-aiming and timing your shots, and I recommend actually taking a couple of test shots just to sort of get a gauge for how far away from the barrel you need to shoot until you're able to actually hit it, because it's very, 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 very tricky to do, and I can't remember how many times you need to hit this barrel, but you do need to hit it a fair few times, and every time you do hit the barrel, basically the conveyor belt itself will speed up and there'll be more toxic barrels in the way as well, so it makes things a great deal more tricky. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? And this actually took me a fair few attempts, to be honest, because once you get to like the last basic hit, which I think this is it now. Oh, actually no, this is the last hit here. It becomes bloody obnoxious to hit the blue barrel. You need to be pretty on point, and if you hit the green one, oh no, the room gets filled with toxic gas and you need to leave the room and then hit a ventilation switch that will basically clear out the room and allow you to re-enter. And you can't just stay in the room when it's toxified and just shoot the barrel either, because Rareware thought of that. They put a glass dome in front of it, which is kind of stressful. Hoi. But like I said, this did take me a fair few attempts to actually do, and despite what this cutscene shows, the speed and whatnot that the conveyor belt runs at stays the same at all times, so when you re-enter the room you'll be at the exact same point you were when you left, which is it's something that I appreciate, you know, folks. So like I said, I did quite a bit of editing here. I skipped about 15 attempts, maybe, to get this sodding barrel, because I kept missing all the time. It just, But eventually I managed to get it. That was a very tight one as well. I almost missed that. And, see that Jiggy? We can't get it yet. No, seriously, we can't get the Jiggy yet. It's behind the barrels. It's behind the conveyor belts. Which means, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? More red tape. We need to do something else to get that Jiggy. Do you see what I mean? Do you see why I don't like Grunty's Industries? I mean, it's just frustrating having to do all these tasks and not be able to even pick up the Jiggy right after you finish the task properly at hand. You know, it's just, ugh. Fortunately, that one's one of the more easy Jiggies in order to get hold of. We'll be getting that quite quickly, relatively quickly. But I digress. Indeed-o. Anyway, we're moving as Mumbo now to go into the electromagnetic chamber here because, well, we're finally going to be pushing the big red button in front of the room. And this basically is our cue to finish up the mission. We're getting close to the end of the entire world now, folks. So, yeah, just shoot up this EMP onto this thing. Then, of course, just like the crushers from the previous part, we do have a time limit in order to go and push the switch. And again, Banjo and Kazooie alone, they can't reach the switch. Well, they can reach the switch, but they can't hit the switch because they're not heavy enough. Which means we need to go and get Mumbo's transformation. So now we need to go from Banjo. Basically, to get to the boss fight, we need to be Banjo, then we need to switch to Mumbo, do that, switch back to Banjo, switch to the bloody transformation, then switch back from the transformation to Banjo, then go to the boss, then beat the boss, and even then we can't get the Jiggy, but I'll talk about that when we actually get to the boss fights, you know, folks. It's so much stuff to do, and it just comes across as frustrating, you know? Oh, yeah. Fortunately, our time in the our time running around is a little bit cut shorter because editing powers. Aren't you so glad I have these, ladies and gentlemen? I know I am, Jesus. But yeah, you're gonna want to be transforming now and heading straight to that electromagnetic room as quick as possible. And this is why way at the first part of the LP I did say you need to destroy that sort of hallway with grenade eggs right off the bat, because well, basically otherwise we can't get through that hallway as Banjo or Mumbo. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, our transformation in this world is a washing machine, and it does shoot underwear at people if you push down the Z button as well, which is a fantastically hilarious attack. But yeah, basically just go to this as quick as you can, push the switch. It does give you plenty of time to get here, but, you know, it's still wise to get this out of the way as quick as possible, because bada bing, bada boom, That's the boss door opened now, so we can actually enter the boss fight whenever we so please. Which, as you can probably guess by the timer on this video, we're not entering the boss fight for a while, because I wanted to do the boss fight as the very final thing I did in this world, so... Now we're going to start and roam around the facility as the washing machine, because as you probably noticed, all the dirty the dirty clothing folks are lying about. Well, basically we need to clean their clothes for them in order to get hold of a jiggy. And there we go, there's the underwear in action there. Surprisingly effective considering we're just shooting clothing at people. You think that wouldn't be effective at all. But, yeah, like I said, you just basically need to re-roam around and re-explore the entire facility again with Washer Banjo. And you might notice I mentioned that this technically was a transformation in Banjo-Kazooie 1. And a lot of you are probably sitting there like, oh, I don't remember that at all. Well, that's because it was a joke transformation. It happens maybe 1% of the time you play the game. Like, there is a very small chance of it happening. But you can actually transform into a washing machine. It's a nice little joke they chucked in. But in this game, everything became full circle, and the washing machine is fully playable and fully controllable, you know, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not very maneuverable, so don't expect to do any platforming, or any decent platforming with this thing. Just expect to roll around and do a tiny little hop if you push the A button, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Which is a big reason why we had to lower one of the grates earlier on, because as I mentioned earlier on, we can't reach all the skivvy workmates just by traditional means, you know. But fortunately, we can't get hurt by toxic waste or anything like that, so we can just just drive through the sludge on the ground if you so choose, which makes things a little bit handier to get around. Although enemies can still harm us, so don't drive into enemies. It still hurts us. I have no idea how it hurts us, because we're a giant metal box. You think we'd be more damaging to them than them damaging us, but especially with the velocity we're going at. Like, if a washing machine hit you at this speed, you would be in pain. Probably. Actually, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it could probably run over you, and that would hurt. Actually, I say that would hurt. You probably won't have bones if a washing machine ran over you. I'm sort of rambling at this point, though. But the general idea of the washing machine is we're basically going to be revisiting all the areas we've been to up until this point, you know. But one thing that is interesting about the washing machine, it does have a new method of transportation to get around. There are dumbwaiter bloody lift things. I think that's what they're called anyway. And all you need to do, service elevators, there we go, is drive into the service elevator with the washing machine, and bada bing, bada boom. We can now go through each of the floors at will, which is, it's handy dandy. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? And there are a couple of extra doorways as well that we can't normally access as Banjo and Kazooie. In fact, we're heading straight to one right now. There it is, right in the background. Basically, you can use the washing machine in order to access these doorways, because obviously we're metallic now. We're part of the workforce as far as the cameras and whatnot can tell. So let's just go into this coal room. And there we go. You can actually see into here if you go into the boiler plant earlier on. But, you know, you can't actually get in here. And it's kind of pointless going in here anyway, because the only reason you'll ever want to go in here is to clean this guy's clothes. Which, now that I think about it, shouldn't he have left this room before we cleaned his clothes? Because we're in a room filled with coal. I don't know about you, but coal, if you so much as touch coal, you know, your hands will be black. So why did he stay in there? Why didn't he leave before? Huh? I don't understand some of these workers' logics. Maybe they're too stupid to realize, oh, coal makes you dirty. But then again, I'm just nitpicking at this point, just for the sake of commentary. Hoi. But yeah, like I said, you can only use these service elevators whenever you are using the washing machine. But I would argue as well, the service elevators are probably the most efficient way to even get around in this place. So, you know, that's kind of handy. But if you remember quality control, that's where the shooting gallery was. Like I said, we now can actually get that jiggy that dropped down as soon as we find, where is it? There we go. Again, red tip, and there is a jump pad there for some reason, and I don't know why. Because as far as I can tell, You can't get into quality control at all on that side with Banjo or Kazooie. There is just no way to do it. I've never been able to figure out if it is a way to do it. So, maybe I suppose you can sort of glide over if you get the gliding power from later on in the game, but at that point, why even bother? You can get there now with the washing machine. It's just... I don't know, maybe I'm looking too much into things, but it just bugs me, you know? It just bugs me that I have to do all this running around just to get the Jiggy that I've already technically got the award, you know, is technically awarded to me. You know, ladies and gentlemen? Oy. But I digress. Anyway, moving up into the roof rooms now. Let's just pop on over here with the washing machine, and the last of the skivvy workmates, almost, is by here. I say the last, I should say the last of the skivvy workmates, ignoring the 2 in the first floor, because I'm leaving the first floor to last. No particular reason why, I just figured it'd be easier to go up each floor, and it'd be easier for my brain to manage, that's all. But there we go, let's just get this geezer, and now it's time to move on to the first floor and collect the last 2 of these sorting things, and I believe that's all we have to do with the washing machine. I don't think there's anything else we need to do with this thing. Like, we don't really use the washing machine much at all. I mean, we use it much more than the sorting dinosaurs in the last world, which is a benefit, but you know, it's again a really underutilized power-up, and God damn it. I would argue that a lot of the power-ups in this game are just underutilized. They probably could have done a hell of a lot more with them, but I don't know, maybe I'm alone in that thinking, I don't know. Yeah, give me that sorting clothing, oi. I kind of feel sorry for Banjo right now. Technically, he is the washing machine, and if you were to think of it, isn't his mouth like the actual lid? So, technically, you could say he's eating their dirty clothes to wash them. Ew. Ew, that's disgusting. Ew. That's not cool at all. But anyway, pop on down to the workers' quarters by here, and here is the very final of the skivvy workmates that we need to deal with, which is kind of annoying. Although somehow, when we clean the clothes, the skin also becomes clean, which is kind of odd, but there we go. With that, bada bing, bada boom, another Jiggy is ours. Hail to the yeah. Hell yeah, indeed. Of course, with that now, we're done with the washing machine, so now it's time to head on to the first floor to finally, after all this build-up, tackle the boss battle. Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you recall, I did say the boss battle had a lot of red tape. I'll save my complete rant. Actually, yeah, I'll save my rant for about this boss until after the boss fight, but outside of negativity, I will say this boss is one of my favorite bosses in the entire game, if not my favorite, because the music is brilliant, the actual boss fight itself is challenging, but really, really, really fun. I love this upcoming battle. But anyway, head into this room by here, and as you can tell, there is a spinny thing. Just don't bother with the spinny thing, just jump off the platform. Don't worry, you won't get hurt. It's one of the weird things about this room. This is like one of the few rooms where you can jump from that level of height and just flat not get hurt. But, despite how immovable this thing seems to look, trust me, this boss fight will give you trouble. Just saying, just saying. At least your first time playing, once you beat the game and know how to deal with Skeezer, he won't give you trouble then. But, you know, your first time playing through this boss, your first time running through it, I can pretty much guarantee you're gonna die at least once. This boss fight is probably... Actually, yeah, this boss fight's probably the second hardest boss in the entire game, ladies and gentlemen. But, yeah, this is Weldar. And to deal with Weldar here, we need to get our grenade eggs at the ready. And, when I say the music is magnificent, oh my god, I just listen to this. I love this song so much. But anyway, to start things off with Weldar, first thing first, he's going to shoot fireballs at you. And the fireballs will aim for where you're going and not where you currently are. So try and rotate in a circle whenever he's shooting fireballs at you. Then he'll try to breathe you in. When Weldar tries to breathe you in, you're going to want to send in one of your grenade eggs to do massive, massive damage to him. He has low hit points, but this boss fight can take a good long while, so just get your grenade eggs to the ready. Then he'll send out mooks, destroy the mooks, and he'll try to suck you in again. After this, he'll jump up very high, which means you want to get Kazooie and her Talon Trot to run around, and, you know, despite this being a simple boss in terms of the idea behind it, and despite how immovable he seems, this is probably one of the most varied bosses in the game, because he keeps changing things up. Every time you hit him, he changes up his strategy, he does something new, and I love that about this boss fight. I love the fact it continuously changes every single time. If one of his tactics don't work, he's going to try a new tactic to try and stop you. You know, and after you've taken down most of his health, he's going to start electrifying the floor, which is going to add in just that little bit extra difficulty, you know, ladies and gentlemen, and this is just... Oh, I love this boss fight. I just really, really do. Now, whenever you do get the last bit of health, the last bits of health even, you do need to be careful because the electric floor will be a massive, massive hindrance. It's a massive handicap on you, so just basically be ready to take care of the enemies whenever he spits them out, and be prepared to shoot those grenade eggs anytime you can, because when he breathes you in, well, he literally does breathe you in, which means you're very likely to clip the electrical floor, which will hurt you, ladies and gentlemen, which is no good. And of course, when he does his jumping act again, you also need Kazooie to jump over things as well. So, you know, it ramps up in difficulty in such a good way. You know, it gets harder and harder and harder, and it really does test your skills in the game, and I love that about boss. I've always considered good boss fights to be bosses that test your skills from what you've learned up until a certain point, you know, and that's what this boss does perfectly. I mean, not so much, maybe not to the same level as the final boss of Banjo Tooie 1, or the final boss of this game, which is, I won't spoil, but the final boss of this game is one of those boss fights that I will constantly praise as well, because it goes on the same mentality. It takes everything you learned up to a certain point and it runs with it, you know, and that's just how I always consider a boss fight in this, well, at least in a platformer, to be really good, you know. Boss fights in other genres can be done differently, but, you know, in platform games, I always consider good boss fights to be ones that test your abilities that you've learned to points, and basically, that was Weldar. One of my favourite bosses in the game. I absolutely love that boss fight. But, if you recall, I did say I was going to go into a wee rant. Well, we're not getting the Jiggy just yet. No, I shit you not, we're still not getting that Jiggy. Like, this is the example I was going to go with for this level having red tape. Because I'm basically going to tell you all of the steps to get this Jiggy now, because the Jiggy only appears right now. Well, it's always been there, but we can only access it right now after being the boss. Basically, we need to enter the level, we need to bloody switch to Mumbo, EMP the sorting thing, switch to our transformation, step on a switch back to Banjo, then go all the way down here, beat the boss. Then, once we've beat the boss, then we'll need to go all the way to the other side of the sodding air conditioning plant to pick up the Jiggy. That's like 6 or 7 steps. That's ridiculous. I don't want to be doing all this stuff just to get one Jiggy, you know, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to be able to beat boss, boom, Jiggy, you get the Jiggy, here's your reward. I mean, it sort of robs you of the instant gratification of doing all this stuff, you know? I don't know, that's just my take on it. But one thing that is awesome about dealing with this boss fight as well, he does give us access to another Cheeto page too, which I guess I can't argue too much about. Because, basically all of the spinny things not all of the one spinny thing in its entrance of this room is slowed down enough now, so we can just basically... Actually, I think it's stopped entirely, so we can just basically run across it, grab the Cheeto page, and bada bing, bada boom! Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Jesus Christ, I could insert Snake Eater here and it'd be perfect. How long is that ladder? My god. But, of course, like as I said previously, I don't know if I said in this LP, I said in a lot of LPs and N64 games, the N64 control stick's a bit dodgy, so, walking across this platform can be a little bit tricky. So, watch out, because you don't want to fall down, because unlike when you fought the boss, when you first entered the room, when you fall down off this now, you will get massive damage, so, you know, you need to watch out for that a little bit. But yeah, we are basically done now with this world once and for all. So let's just head on all the way over yonder and get ourselves a nice, fantastic Jiggy. Oh my, there it is right there, the big glowing. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, I just want to reach and grab it. Hell yeah. And that's an entire area back there that we're not exploring yet. I will be exploring that eventually. But not yet. We will explore that like way later on in the game once we've gotten certain powers. For the meantime though, we're basically done with this world. We've done everything we possibly can do in Grunty's Industries. Thank you, Christ. We can now move on to other things, which is good stuff. What can I tell you? So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this part. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, people, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye!